Hello, and welcome to Textual Tension. I am your co-host, Rachel, and I hop in here before every episode and give you any updates that we might have. Hello. Hi. I hope you're doing wonderful on this fine early spring day. I'm recording this on Easter, so if you happen to celebrate Easter, happy Easter. If you don't, hey, I see you. But hey, happy Sunday and happy wonderful spring day. Let's go ahead and knock all of these announcements out so we can get you into the episode today. Hey, we have a Patreon. And, you're going to want to listen to some of that bonus content this time around, huh? It's a lot. So if you want to head on over to patreon.com/textualtension and support us, that would be super cool of you. And we have new patron Rye over there. Welcome to the third tier, baby. Hey, welcome. And also we have Rachel, who I'm pretty sure I mentioned last time, but I don't remember because time is meaningless after this book. And so I'm gonna 2-for-1 it. You get a second one. Thank you all so incredibly much for supporting us. We really appreciate you. Y'all are like the best ever. We have the coolest community. We love you so much. So thank you so much for supporting us. If you are looking for other ways to support us, we would really appreciate it if y'all would maybe tell a friend about us or leave us a review on your favorite podcatcher. That is super duper helpful and helps get our name out to other people. So we would really appreciate it if you would do that. We have social media at Instagram, Facebook, not Twitter, but yes to TikTok. That is Textual Tension Pod across the board on those. We have a website. We have a Discord that you can reach through our Instagram. And we have fun over there. And I imagine there will be some discussions after this episode. So I'm really curious to hear y'all's thoughts. So feel free to head on over there and join the party. Speaking about this episode, hey, this one's bad, y'all. I'm just legitimately, like a little bit seriously, this one's a lot. We had a really, as fun of a time as we could. I was a broken human, so if anything, you get to laugh at that, Margie's outrage, all that jazz. But this one's a bit intense. It's probably the worst book that we've done in terms of being problematic, and it is very problematic. So giving folks a heads up here, obviously, we go through the triggers. We talk about it a little bit beforehand, but that is the reason that this episode's a little bit longer than some of our normal episodes. Usually, when we get a book that, gives us righteous outrage and we do a lot of soapboxing, I cut some of it out, especially if we're repeating ourselves, just to get the book review within a certain amount of time. I didn't do that with this one because I felt it was very important for us to have those conversations, and we, I think, have some legitimate things to say about this one. So I kept that in. I thought it was important. So it is a little bit longer, but we do not rate the book at the end. So, it's a lot of content and a lot of discussion. So if you want to be part of that discussion, again, please head up on our Discord. I think there's going to be some really interesting chats happening over there in regards to this. And if you disagree with my opinion, I would love to hear it. Absolutely. Like, legitimately, let's have a conversation. I'd love to be told when I'm wrong. So hit us up. So I will go ahead and give y'all some romance novel wisdom to get us into this dumpster fire. Roses are red. Fae can be hot. Except when they rape people, then they are not. Hey. Oh, I reiterate, I'm a broken human. So if you too want to be broken and enjoy just some really oddly cathartic screaming into the void, although the content, again, it's pretty bad, y'all. Hey, please enjoy episode 115. Oh, this is her fault.
Tearing me apart from the inside out so I can see myself from the inside.
Hello, and welcome to Textual Tension, a love-hate relationship with romance novels. I am your co-host, Rachel.
I'm your co-host, Margie.
Every other week, one of us reads and summarizes a romance novel for the other unsuspecting co-host. This week, Margie's listening in.
Hello.
Hello, and together we unpack
What the fuck just happened.
We're gonna be so heavy on the fuck this time around.
So before we get started, I do want to ask where did you find your phone, and was Bitsy taking butthole pictures of herself to sell online again? Because
Margie,
I had talked to her about that, and she said that she was never going to do that again, but she may have taken more pussy pics. I don't know.
look, just because she's on onlybeans.com doesn't mean
I want a sticker that says onlybeans.com. Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my god, that Instagram would be so good.
onlybeans.com. We need to figure out if it exists.
Only
and-
beans.
Only beans.
So to completely change the subject, you
yeah.
told me I needed bourbon or whiskey, which, like,
Yes.
if you're gonna get whiskey, get fucking bourbon. I live in Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm not a big bourbon fan.
I'm sorry, we had to completely cancel this podcast and never speak again. But
I love
it's chill,
whiskey.
though.
I love whiskey. Bourbon's
What's
just
wrong
not
with
my
you?
go-to whiskey.
What's wrong with you? Anyway,
Well, a lot.
I got wild turkey, and I have
Hell
ice
yeah.
sitting next to me.
Classic.
Because I like
Are you
it
gonna
on the
see
rocks.
how long you can go?
I don't think it's gonna be that long because
It's not.
It's probably not a healthy trait that I'm like, oh, I really just want to crack right into it.
I-
It's even already open for me.
I have a nice Irish whiskey because I am a very big fan of an Irish whiskey, or
Yeah.
rye. Those are my particular whiskey brands, or rather flavors.
It's the only thing where we and Dagus McKelter don't agree. It's with bourbon. He's a
That's fair.
McKellen fan.
Well, I am a fan of an Irish, and I'm getting more used to Scotch, but I prefer an Irish or a rye. The reason we're going to need whiskey, however, for today, is because this book, Margie, do you happen to remember when we, maybe a couple weeks ago, did a crossover with our beautiful and wonderful fairy tale fix friends?
Yes, I do. I love them so much.
Me too. And do you happen to remember how I went through a whole bunch of different books to try to find one that was bad enough? And like
This
what
is
was
Little
fun.
Red Riding Hood, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Oh.
So I went through a lot of books to find one that was bad enough that it was good indoctrination for them, but it was still fun bad, right? Because you know
Yes.
everyone needs the Band-Aid ripped off. Do you remember me happening to mention one Fae book that was about some Fae stuff that was too bad? Like I started reading it and I was like, this is too bad, and you got a
did
little
it
upset.
For me. You did it for me.
I did it.
You did it for me.
You got a little upset that like I didn't do it for that, and I was like, no, Margie, you don't understand. It's that bad.
You did
Well,
it for me.
ladies. This is what I saved you from. Just letting you know.
Shout out to Beatrice too, who is a listener from Fairy Tale Fix.
Yes,
We're happy
yes.
you're here.
Absolutely. This one, I'm going to go ahead and I've never done this on the podcast before, and I will be putting it in the beginning, where I kind of pop in before the episode. But in case you skip past that, which is fine, totally fine. You do miss romance novel wisdom, but in case you do skip past that, this one's bad, y'all. This is the worst book that we've covered on the podcast, and I'm very confident in saying that.
Give me the book. Give me the book.
Well, so I do, this is actually a little bit legitimate, serious time for a minute. This is bad. It's a very problematic book, but it is, what I think makes it almost worse is that it broke me. Not in the way that it usually breaks us, where it's like, oh my God, like that kind of way. In a way where I started second guessing myself.
Ooh,
And
okay.
so we have our whiskey, but Margie and I will be staying sober enough to have some a little bit more serious conversations towards the end about the context between what is BDSM, what is okay in the BDSM and that type of fantasy space versus what is just not good. So that conversation's happening later.
The vibes that I'm already feeling are, I remember I covered a book where it was a mafia guy, obviously, but he let his quote unquote girl walk into a house that he knew where she was going to be in danger, and then he was like, I'll just wait 5 minutes. She'll learn her lesson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, look who's here to comfort you.
Thank you, Bitsy. We're gonna fucking need it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and send this one to you. And I reiterate, I am super
So
comfortable saying this
excited.
is the
I'm so
worst book
excited.
we've ever covered on this
I
podcast.
am genuinely just... I know I should be worried
Oh, no,
and concerned
I get
and
it.
all this.
I get it.
Ooh, it already looks real bad. But okay. So I just opened the book on Goodreads.
And when I say bad, I mean problematic. Just most problematic we've ever covered.
Oh my god. Okay. It has is over 40,000 ratings and over almost 3,500 reviews. And it's got almost 4 stars, 3.98. But it is called Fighting Destiny by Amelia Hutchins. And it is the first book out of the Fae Chronicles. And so on this particular page, when I first looked at the cover, it was kind of small. It's in black and white, except for the lettering of Fighting Destiny and her in the author's name, which is smaller than the title.
And his hands, I think. His hands are like gold, right? And his eyes?
Yes. So, yeah. But I will say that it looked like when I first looked at it, I couldn't even really tell what was happening in the picture. But it's very small. So I'm actually going to pull it up on Amazon so I can see it better. So let's see here. Yeah. Oh boy, there's a lot going on here. Okay, so here we go. Black and white image, like I said, a girl with blonde hair her back is facing us, so we just see her back. Then it looks like she's either kneeling or standing in front of a man who has his arms wrapped around her. One of them is around her waist, and that one is shining gold color. And then his other hand is kind of like on her neck, like holding her neck. And it is also shining gold through her hair strands. They're both naked, I think you actually okay, so that is her hip that is going around his waist. Yes. I'm guessing. Okay.
I think.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to see.
It's kind of hard. The whole thing is not clear. So he's got tattoos that they kind of look to me like they remind me of the vines in Sleeping Beauty that like cover the castle.
See, I think they look like straight up tribal tattoos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could be both.
Also, I didn't realize her nails are also red.
Oh, I didn't realize that either. They don't. The problem is that the cover is so dark you can't really catch that. Like the contrast is just like really
it's not very high.
Too
contrast.
much. And then you see the dude's face, and he's got dark curly hair, and he's looking at us with bright golden. I'm gonna say golden.
Oh,
eyes.
they are. They're gold.
They're
worry.
very golden, and he's looking straight at you. So like it looks like he's like touch or I'll kill you kind of vibes, but like in a scary way, like in a way that's
pretty accurate.
Yeah. So and then it's just a black background behind them.
There's like a weird like flower, again, kind of tribal pattern behind him, but it's really hard to see.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, maybe there is. I don't know. I can't see it.
Yeah.
I think that there's just too much contrast, honestly.
I would argue not enough.
Or
like,
maybe not enough. Like there's something wrong with contrast.
The whites aren't bright enough and the darks aren't dark enough, so you don't really see that stuff in between.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let me read the description. Okay. Have you ever heard of the old Celtic legends of the Fae? Beautiful, magical, and deadly creatures that have a love of messing with humans just for kicks and giggles. I think kicks and giggles? Okay. Welcome to my world. What started out as a strange assignment led to one of the most gruesome murder mysteries of our time. My friends and I are set and determined to find out who's killing off Fae and witches alike. Couple of problems in the way. I hate the Fae, and the Prince of the Dark Fae is bound and determined that I work for him. He's a rude, overbearing, egotistical ass with a compulsive need to possess, dominate, and control me. Oh,
yes.
Did I mention that he is absolutely sex on a stick gorgeous, and he makes me feel things that I never ever wanted to feel for a Fae? Every time he touches me or looks at me with those dangerous golden eyes, he seems to pull me further in under his spell. Despite my better judgment, he literally could be doing that because he's a Fae. My friends and I can't trust anyone, and nothing is as it seems on the surface. Not even me. Okay, well, all right.
Do you want to read the addendum at the bottom?
Oh, is there an addendum?
I think there is. I have one.
There's a book I just have book details.
Oh, okay. Here, let me get you your addendum because it's kind of important.
Kind of just an important bit. You don't have the physical book, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I have it on Kindle though. Let's see. This book is a dark paranormal with heat and strong situations. The hero is an alpha hole.
What is
The
that
hero
mean?
is an alpha hole who is about to meet his match.
Don't love that. Don't love any of that.
Okay, so y'all, this is where my brain started to break, and it was about like 40% into the book that I started to like have weird thoughts. And those thoughts are, this book has very heavy BDSM overtones. I wouldn't even call them overtones. You just get punched in the face with that whole thing, which is cool. I personally love BDSM. I think it's great. The part where my brain started to break was there was a point where I was like, okay, I understand that the whole like reluctance, forced orgasm, like all of those things are BDSM kinks that are totally valid when performed in a mutually consensual area and space that like
And relationship.
It doesn't even have to be a relationship, just consent.
Yes,
when it
right.
is performed, in a safe space with consent where everyone is an adult and on board and yada yada yada. I'm gonna let you decide, yes, you at home, whether or not that's the case here. Cool. So what I'm saying is there's nothing necessarily wrong with some of the kinks that are portrayed in here. It is the manner that they go about it that's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into triggers, shall we?
All of them?
There's no animal abuse.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we got that going for us.
I was thinking about it. I was like, what isn't there?
Yacht violence?
You know what? There's no yacht violence.
Hell yeah. All right, Rachel, I don't know what you're so upset about.
You're so right. All this one does have is racism between Fae
cool.
and humans.
Yeah.
It has sexual assault. It has death. It has mental illness. It has rape. It has death by rape. It has the complete the complete obliteration of someone's psyche. Like, that's how they die. So if you're like things like people catatonic or like severe mental like thing, that's going to be a thing.
Oh my God, I love Bitsy down there. She looks so cute.
She's protecting me.
She is.
God, I know there's more, and my brain is just broken. I didn't
you
write down the triggers. They'll show up.
Oh, they'll come.
Hey, and if I had to emphasize any of those, I would say rape, and more
rape.
Oh, and torture.
Rape.
There's torture. There's and just general murder.
So
and body evisceration.
Okay. So when you say sexual assault and rape,
Yes.
let's make sure that we're
You're right.
clearly defining the two.
I say both in case people's definitions of rape of sexual assault, like if the distinction for you is like one is penetrative versus one is not, like that's why I include both.
Okay, cool.
Also, I would also consider some of the mental domination stuff that happens to be sexual assault in this instance.
Right. Okay, cool.
Oh, and then the other one is the treating of a woman as an object.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the reason I'm very comfortable saying this is the most problematic book is because the number of people that are murdered by rape is more than one.
Murdered by, oh my God.
Yes, raped to death.
Hate those words. I cannot. I don't even want to. Oh my God. Just so many bad, honestly, historical things come to my mind when I hear those words.
Well, and here's what makes it worse. Because there's a way for it to be worse.
Yeah.
The way that someone is raped to death, which is not good already in this book, is not in a death by snoo Futurama kind of like that way. It's not someone is like raped until they physically give out. It's okay. let's get into a little bit of the background of the factions, because it plays into this. In this world, there are witches and there are fae. Witches are magic people. They can do magic. They have their spells tattooed on their body, which is actually pretty cool. Fae are fae. They're all different kinds of fae. They live in fairy, which is like another world, but they come into the real world and everyone loves them and they're cool. Fae have the ability to dominate someone's mind. They're also intensely sexual beings that feed through sex.
So they need sex to live?
Yes, they
so
do.
Like our boy whatever from our first book.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Only, like, he would weaken, like, the fae.
Yeah.
It's not so much that, I mean, they do get weak and stuff and, like, will die if they don't have it. But if they get hungry enough, they can't control themselves in order to get it. And so, they can control people's minds.
The claim that men make that they can't control themselves.
Oh, don't worry, that comes up. So and that comes up independent of what I'm talking about now, which is infuriating. So, not only, it's not just a physical giving out of the body. What they're doing is they dominate a person's mind, force them into enjoying the act while remaining conscious internally of everything that is happening to them, and at some point, their mind just breaks. So they're technically still alive, but they are a husk that is only capable of seeking out sexual satisfaction afterwards.
So they don't so they're technically
dead
alive,
for
but
all.
they're okay.
Yes, for all intents and purposes, they're
dead.
dead. Yes. So, I reiterate. Do you think that is this is the intent of that type of BDSM kink? I don't. Personally.
No.
Yeah.
No,
cool.
It shouldn't be.
We've gotten the worst of it out at the front.
Cool.
I'm just going to tell you that does happen. It is directly referenced a couple times. It is only shown to happen to somebody once. It is indirectly only once. It is indirectly referred to that this has happened to a lot of people. Okay?
And witches are just cool with the fae? They're cool with them?
They don't really have a choice. Witches are humans. And they're kind of like, they're not like the last stand against the fae, but they are kind of like a faction that kind of balances the power a little bit, right? Like, fae...
24 minutes into recording and we're just getting in... I'm still stuck on the death by rape bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I warned you.
I know you did. And that's why, I'm not saying, Rachel, how could you, and all of that stuff, because I wanted this to happen.
Yeah,
I asked for it.
And I reiterate, hey, fairy tale fix ladies, you're welcome. I saved you from this. Instead, we got Muffin. Not this.
Muffin was pretty bad, but Muffin wasn't this bad.
No, Muffin wasn't this bad. All right, so, like I said, that's kind of the two factions in this world. There's the witches, and then there's fae.
Okay, cool.
So fae are kind of like celebrities in this world. Especially like the light and dark fae are like the two big ones because they're sexy as hell. And to be fair, a lot of humans are like, fuck yeah, I want to bone down with a fae because that's like the best sex you've ever had in your life. So like a lot of people are super down with it. They're not going around raping everybody to death on the street. But it does happen. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So our two characters, we have Cynthia, who goes by Sin, because of course she does. Oh, hey, not explicitly a trigger, but I'm just going to start this now. Please imagine every single Mary Sue, I'm special kind of girl.
But I'm
ever.
not special.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's special, but she's not special. She's a snowstorm. That's Cynthia.
Special snowstorm.
Special snowstorm. That's Sin. She goes by Sin because of course she does. She's blonde. She's a witch, and she's the most powerful witch. She can do things that other witches can't, and she's also the most well-trained killer ever.
I'm not like other girls.
No, she's definitely not.
Listeners, I want you to know that I started twirling my hair as I said that.
God, oh God, this woman. Okay. Which absolutely does not in any way justify anything that happens to her throughout the course of this book. I want to get that out there. I don't like her. She's annoying as
All
hell.
right. Yep.
And then we have Ryder, who's the Prince of the Dark Fae. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out here now because it doesn't matter. It's not in any way subtle, and you can guess it almost right off the bat. He's not actually Prince of the Dark Fae. He's King of the Horde, whatever the fuck that means. Don't know. But he's pretending not to be. He's actually the Dark Prince right now.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Brah.
Great. I'll be honest.
I'm not
when
like
I pick
other Fae princes.
He's king. I'll be honest. When I picked up this book to like finish reading, I was already 20% in from the last time I tried to read it, and you couldn't have paid me enough money to go back and read that first 20%. So I don't remember what he looks like. I know he has gold eyes. I think he has darker like shoulder length or neck length hair. I don't know. He's hot.
All right.
And
cool. Fae
and he's
Prince,
the most
got it.
powerful Fae. So, you know, they're made
Match
for each
made in
other.
heaven. Who needs
Right?
eHarmony?
So, scene 1.
Fae Harmony.
FaeHarmony.com. So Sin and her coven. So Sin has a coven of 4 people right now. It's relatively small because someone recently died, which we'll get into later. And it is her. It is a dude named Adam that she is like family. Like they are like this. They are both orphans, but they're basically family to each other. There is another woman who is like also super duper close. They have a really, really tight bond. And then there's another woman who is relatively new that they're like trying to like get her into the coven because they want to flesh out their ranks. So they have been given an assignment by the guild to infiltrate the Dark Fae Palace and steal something.
The
I think
legendary
it's a
silver
crown.
crystal.
Let's go with that because I don't remember and I don't care.
The amount of disdain. This reminds me of like the last book that I covered where it was like you could just hear the disdain in my voice.
You know how I said that this broke me?
There wasn't
I think
even any rape in my book.
No, I think it's coming across that this broke me. And I think that after this first scene, you'll see the exact moment that I decided not to do this book for our crossover. So she has to sneak into the Dark Fae Palace and steal, I think it's like a crown or something.
Legendary silver crystal, yeah.
Sure, legendary silver crystal. It's basically a suicide mission, and she knows it,
Okay.
but they had to take this for some reason. So, and she's the best one to do it. I don't remember and I don't care. I'm not going to go back and look it up.
Cool.
It's the consequences that matter. So she basically, her coven is like outside in like, you know, their stalker van or whatever, their FBI van.
So that we're in modern times, like we're in the.
Oh yeah, we totally
okay.
in modern times. And she is the one doing the infiltrating, partly because she's like, I'm not putting any of my other people in danger.
Is
and
she dangling from a wire like through the ceiling?
No, but there is an obstacle course.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, with lasers. I'm not kidding. I am in no way joking. So she sneaks in with like a tour group or whatever and manages to like sneak her way through the palace. And she does this, like, the way that they do this is they're waiting and like the Fae Prince or whatever leaves and then she kind of sneaks in and then they do tour groups or whatever. So she like sneaks in with the tour group. So she's like, all right, I know that the Fae Prince isn't going to be here and I can, you know, do my sneaky thing.
Yeah, we
in my
gang.
tight leather because that's one thing I do remember is she's wearing very tight black spandex or leather. So, you know.
You have to do that. Rachel, what else would you wear for
How else are you going to get through the lasers?
Yeah. The covert mission.
Else?
How else?
How else? At some
It's
point
so breathable and flexible.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. You can definitely sweat in that and it'll wick it away.
It's the Nike of covert missions.
At some point during this episode,
we steal is who you are.
Just do it. So she gets in there and she's like on the comms with her, you know, coven and everything. Like, please imagine Yeah, whole nine. And she walks in and she's like, oh my god, there's an obstacle course. I wasn't kidding. She does have to go through lasers and bullshit or whatever.
That feels like an invitation if there's an obstacle course. You know what I mean?
You are smarter than she is. So she sneaks in and she makes it into the room with this legendary silver crystal, and the Fey Prince is there. He didn't leave after all. He captured them. And then he brings in her coven, who they also captured, who was outside. So
you made it this far into my evil plot.
Twirling mustaches. So she's caught by the Dark Prince and his men and her coven members. And one of them, the new girl, who's like relatively new, this was kind of like her first mission or whatever with the coven, is like about to kind of turn on them and tell them what they're asking, like, you know, who do you work for, like yada yada yada. And so Sin just kills her.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because you can't, and she doesn't mentally, like, just magically murders the chick, because you can't.
She just mentally kills her?
Yeah, yep, she does.
She was in her coven, and she was new. That's not her fault.
Sin's thought process is, well, if you're gonna be in the coven, you have to be fully committed to the coven, and so, like, I can't have you.
Then you shouldn't have brought her on the mission, bitch.
Yeah, probably not. So does that, and then when Ryder, who's the fake prince guy, isn't getting the information out of her that he wants, he starts mentally dominating her and doing all that jazz. So she is literally being sexually assaulted against her will, while her brother essentially watches all of this happening. Oh, the whiskey's opening! Yeah, we made it. 2 bullet points in. Nice.
Okay, please go on.
I'm so broken.
Cheers.
And I'm you know what? There's just so much threats of fucking her to death and raping her to death and yada yada yada. And please imagine every single interaction between her and Ryder from this point on to be like, you're gonna do this for me. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Well, what if I tied you to the bed and used you and whatever and fucked you to death or whatever? And she's like, fine, I'll do it. Or threatening her friends. Then she also does it. Please expect every single interaction from this point forward to do that.
I've definitely read things like that in romance novels before, where the main dude character threatens to do something horrible to the in particular usually the female character.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's an instant no dog from me. Because I'm just like, I just think it shouldn't even bear speaking of doing something at that level of horrible to anyone. You shouldn't even be talking about it. You know, it's like It's like when you hear, like, okay, when you hear something, say something. When you see something, say something. It's like, okay, but that's such a big red flag that they were even willing to say something that horrible to you.
So this book takes that and asks the question, but what if that's how their relationship started? Was him actually acting on it?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Keep going.
Yeah. So he's sexually assaulting her, and
in her mind or physically?
Yes, both of those things. Yeah. So he's doing terrible, terrible things to her, and she is not breaking. She's not telling him
because she's a fucking special snowflake.
And her brother is watching, and yada yada yada. Surprise! This was all a job interview. None of it was real.
But it's not a job interview, because I'm assuming that he's pretty much just going to enslave her and tell her that she has to do whatever he tells her.
Good insight, Margie.
Yeah.
So, technically, her boss sent her to do this, knowing fully well that the Dark Fae Prince wanted to hire the best of the best that they had to do a mission for him. And so this was the job interview of that for them for this job.
What is this Saw level of madness?
She murdered a person. She killed a lady.
She killed a lady for a job trying to think of anything. Like because if you think it's okay, so you're in a job interview, but you're being interviewed with someone else, you see that other person as a threat to the job and you just fucking shoot them. It's like a corporate environment, and like the board is like, she's badass enough, she's in.
Yeah, that's what this whole thing was. Oh, but you forgot. What if the board also sexually assaulted you to see if you could hack it?
At the same time. So it's, and they're all because we're gonna assume that Ryder's strong as 12 old white men. So all these 12 old white men in the boardroom are fucking you as you shoot a woman. The other woman who's probably being sexually assaulted in the room. Great, fine.
Yeah,
fine,
cool, great,
fine,
awesome.
Cool,
awesome. I reiterate, we are halfway through the first scene. So it was all, it was all a dream of the romance novel world. It was all a job interview. Great and cool. Her and her coven are now going to help the Dark Fae. Basically, rundown of that is that Dark Prince is engaged to Light Princess, and Light Princess has a hit out on her, so Sin, who can change
Light
shape...
Princess has a hit out on who, I'm sorry?
On her. It's like someone has a hit out on the princess, the Light Fae Princess.
Okay, gotcha.
So Sin is going to impersonate the Light Fae Princess at a event so that the Light Fae Princess isn't in danger. None of that ever happens.
Okay.
So
oh my god, it never even
fine.
happens?
No, it doesn't. So that's just the premise of this job that never happens. I reiterate.
That doesn't exist, essentially.
There's a reason it doesn't happen, but still. And Sin can change shape, like she can do that like illusion thing. Again, she will never do it again from this point forward. So there you go.
Cool.
So yeah.
Why would she? She's already wearing such breathable leather.
So yeah, she killed her friend for nothing, and needless to say, she's not happy about it. So Sin is basically forced to agree. She does not have a choice at this point, right? Like, technically, they're still kind of captive, and also her boss already agreed, and he has her friends, and she just killed someone for this. So she technically has to agree to it.
Oh, so it's slavery. Paid.
She hasn't signed a contract yet. So, Ryder takes her to his nightclub in order to sign the contract. I believe in my actual notes, it says that he takes her to his nightclub for reasons.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like, obviously.
Yeah. Again, this is still in that 20% that I read months ago, so I don't know. Outside of the contract, which is the only thing that happens at this nightclub, I don't know why they had to go to the nightclub. The
best, most legit best, most legit contracts are, done with music, bopping music in the room. I would give the example of The Little Mermaid.
That song slaps. The only reason that I can imagine that they went to the nightclub instead of just doing it in the palace or whatever, was so that they could stop on the side of the road for some more mild sexual assault. Not mild, for some more sexual assault.
Sexual assault, yeah.
Yeah, so they stop on the side of the road. He makes her make out with him. And there's
nothing okay, but I have to ask, because we are giving this book a lot of abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's not, okay, so it's definitely him just getting into her brain and being like, no, you're attracted to me.
In this instance, she finds him attractive.
Right, okay.
In this instance, and I will specify in each of their sexual encounters what the case is. In this instance, he is using his mind-dominating powers to make her do sexual things with him. In this case, it's making out and some petting and stuff.
Also, it's so stupid because he's already super hot. She's attracted to him, so why can't you just be a decent fucking fae?
She hates the Fae. We're about to get into why.
Prove her wrong through, like, good, normal, decent behavior.
But Margie, she just needs to get over it.
Oh, you're right. Excuse me. Do we get on top of it instead? Have it inside of her instead?
No, in this case, it's over it because, well, we'll get into it. We're getting there. But it's fine. It's cool that he did that because he was marking her, and otherwise she wouldn't be able to get into his club without his bodyguard stopping her or whatever.
Oh my god. That stupid thing. We just had that in A Touch of Darkness too.
Oh, it's not the last time.
Sure it's not.
So they go to the club, and this is part 2 of her interview, which she's not aware of. They bring her into a room, and they force her to relive when she refuses to tell them why she hates the Fae. They force her to relive it. This is where her family or childhood trauma comes into place. This is where her parents, who were both witches and adopted her, were being hunted by Fae. And this is where the death by rape thing happens while her father watches. It's great. It's good. Also, she ends up killing her mom indirectly, so that's also cool. I'm not going to get into the details because it's really bad. I just, like, I can't go into the details because it's too much. You know when you go too hard in the trauma? It's too hard in the trauma.
I'm also a little angry, honestly, too, because a lot of concepts in this book, I like the idea of Fae and witches. Yes. I like the idea in the modern world. I love all of that. But you're doing it so poorly. You're using these really good ideas that you had, and you're using you're doing it so poorly. I mean, and let's go on. Let's just go on. We could sit here all day.
You could even make the whole Fae feed from sex thing work. You could.
Yeah, you could.
You'd have to put some work into it, but you could do that. Like,
it could be an interesting concept, honestly.
Yeah, I love the idea of magic tattoos.
Think about this as it is, which is technically a workplace relationship, because now, if we're going to even call it that, because she was forced into this position, she is in a position where she's working directly with her boss, and now her boss is making sexual advances on her. She doesn't have the space to, and she can't even leave this position. Like, she's essentially enslaved.
Yes.
If you think about it,
we haven't even gone to the contract.
Right. Exactly. So if you think about it like that too, it's like she has absolutely no choices, no autonomy, anything like that.
Nope.
So what? Cool. Great. Fine. So what I'm saying is that, like, even though this exists in, like, the Fae witch world that it does exist in, you can relate it to modern situations that have happened before. I get it. Yeah. I
totally agree.
If you put it in that scenario, it's not sexy anymore. Even that turns you off. Like,
yup. For what it's worth, the moment that I stopped reading the first time was the roadside sexual assault.
All right, but we got to get past this. We're never going to
get past it. So they go to the club. He forces her to relive her trauma, which, great, awesome, cool. And another thing that I really grinds my gears that we're not going to go down the soapbox or get on the soapbox for because it'll just take too long. But after this trauma, it is implied that he starts to feel a little bit bad for her and understands a little bit more the reason she hates the Fae, although he does tell her, we're not them. Doesn't matter. Trauma's still trauma.
But you are, though.
Yeah, you kind of are, though, actually. Yeah. Now that you think about it, you did do exactly that to her when you first met her. So, yes, you are them. Is that he's like, you were a victim. She's like, I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. You can be both.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, sorry. That grinds my gears. So he then hands her a contract. The contract, his ultimatum basically for the contract is essentially boils down to, you do this or we will force your friends, your coven, members of your coven to do this, and it's a death sentence. So you die or they die. So that's really about it.
It's not a contract. It's just, again, enslavement.
You ready for it to get worse?
Yeah.
Because he's like, don't you want to read it? And she's like, I don't have a choice. What's the point in me reading it? And so she signs it in blood or whatever.
I'm glad that the author at least put that in there, that like, I don't have a choice, bro.
Well, then she reads it, realizes that it literally makes her his property. In his words, property. And then when she gets mad about it, he's like, should have read the fine print.
So it's slavery.
And she says that it's
I'm just going to keep saying that. It's fucking slavery. Stop making slavery sexy. I'm over it. I'm fucking over it. I don't like it. Why? All right.
I will say, because again, this broke me and I always feel the need. That can be a valid kink when done in the right context. This is not the right context. We'll say it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm looking up a picture of her because I'm like, she's a white woman. She's a white woman. I hate this. I hate it here. I absolutely fucking hate it here. Don't. Just don't.
Oh my god, that was the funniest shit ever. Oh, that was so good. That's perfect.
Like, use 2% of your critical thinking, all right, outside of your protesting critical race theory to think, maybe I shouldn't write this. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should keep this private kink that's very private. Fucking private.
It doesn't even have to be. Write shit about it and make it consensual.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Okay. Oh, man. That is... Wow. Oh, that might have been my favorite moment in this podcast ever. Oh, that was perfect. Okay. So it's her fault because she signed it without reading the fine print. Great. Cool. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice? Mm-hmm, good.
Oh, and also she signed it when she had literally no choice. Fine. Cool. Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
But also
now he knows where she is at all times. Sometimes. This means nothing later. Also, he can feed from her if he needs to, which is the sexy kind of feeding. Yeah. Cool. Great. So there we go. There's all the setup for their relationship. It's not going to get better, but that's the setup. So she's obviously pissed about all of this, understandably so, but there's literally nothing she can do about it. So it's just, again, a lot of, I'm never going to do that. Yes, you are. I'm never going to do that. Yes, you are. Or your friends are. Or I'm going to, like, fuck you to death. Well, I guess I'm going to do it. I don't have to. Forever. It's cool. It's great. It's good.
And then somehow he gets rewarded for this behavior, I'm sure.
He's a white man. Of course he does.
Okay.
Yeah. God. So she does manage to, afterwards, like, while he's off doing businessy things or whatever, she does leave the compound because she's just fucking over it. She's like, I need to get away for a minute, and he can deal with it. So she steals his like, fancy Porsche or whatever, or Lambo or something, and goes to visit her ex-boyfriend's grave, who used to be in the coven and died. And this is kind of where you start. She's still in love with this dude. And the only thing that I will say for this book, that it's not even a good thing, it's just a thing that they could have done worse, is that these two never at any point say that they love each other in this book, which is good, because they don't. Guarantee they do in the second one. But in this book, they don't. So she's still in love with her.
Capable of love.
Nope.
Just making that clear. He's not capable of it.
No. He's super not.
Cool.
So,
cool.
This is where we first start to see her being a special snowstorm. Because she is the only witch in the world that can raise the dead, but not in a necromancy way. I guess.
I was literally going to say necromancy.
Yeah, she can, like, see spirits and shit and, like, bind souls to her. It's never explained. I'm assuming it's explained in a later book. But this is him first seeing that, oh shit, she's really fucking strong and, like, powerful and what's special and whatever. It's also the first time that he sees her, quote, lit up, which, like I said, most witches wear their spells on their body as tattoos. Like, that's how your body is your spell book, which, again, fucking cool
Love
as hell
that concept. Yes.
It's amazing. So most witches, by the time they're older, are just like decked out head to toe in tattoos because it's all their spells. She's not, because she's special, and also because all of her tattoos are white ink, so you can only see her under a black light, I
Okay, but also
Again,
that makes
cool.
me feel like, well, but
Could
I
be
would
cool.
argue, I would argue too, though, that it feels like it's very like, it's very anti-tattoo a little bit, because it's like she's more powerful than everyone else because nobody can see her tattoos.
She does have like one visible one, but it's kind of hidden. So
do you get what I'm saying, though? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I feel like what I think would be really cool is if a witch, because I would feel like a witch without any tattoos would raise questions. So if you had a witch that had a bunch of tattoos and then had like a secret tattoo that was in like white ink or whatever, that would be cool. That would be super cool.
Yeah. The secret tunnel of tattoos.
Exactly. Heyo. So let's go on a special sidebar, because now it's time for a murder mystery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, surprise, there's actually been murders going on this whole time. And all of this leading up to this point, for some reason, her boss has been unable to tell her about this thing that's happening, but has wanted to bring her onto this project. But in order to do that, they had to get her to work with the Dark Fae. I don't know why, but that's how it's explained.
Cool.
So, basically, there is this serial murder thing happening where the person is alternating between killing witches and fae. Fae are effectively immortal, so you shouldn't be able to like kill them by normal means. They heal really quickly. So they have some sort of something that's letting them kill fae. These people are not just being murdered, they're also being eviscerated and their organs are being stolen. So that's cool. Cool, great, and good.
All right.
Yeah. So they go to investigate. And they investigate this like fairy who's dead, and has had things stolen. I'm not going to go into it because it's unnecessarily triggering. You can probably make that mental leap yourself on what would be stolen from a female fairy. Yay.
Fairy
So,
also, oh my, okay, we're not, nope, can't get into it. All right, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going.
I almost want you to read this book, like actually read it and experience it to let me know what you like.
I want to read it as a personal writing challenge of how to do this better.
I would love that. I would love it if you did that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I really would. She's brought in to investigate because she can do special investigating things, I guess. She notices this like weird aura that she's never seen before because she has that like second sight or whatever that witches have. And she notices the bits that have been taken, and they're in the room and they're kind of like noticing, like investigating, when all of a sudden she gets this like weird, like feels like a disturbance in the force, if you will. And she throws up a shield around everyone right before everything explodes. Oh, by the way, she's also the only witch that can do the shield thing, so she's special there too. What happens with the shield thing is she takes all of the damage of anything that hits her shield, but she does shield everybody, which again, cool ass concept.
Yes.
But she's special. So she's able to save everybody, which is cool. She needs healed, but she does save everybody. So basically what they got from this is that, someone is able to, they're doing something that is making it so they can kill fae, which is not something that normal, like, it's very hard to do. And they're trying to lure people there and kill them. So, like, they know that this is getting attention, and they know that people are going to be, like, higher up people are going to be investigating this, and so hence the planted bombs and trying to kill those people, right? We also, at this point, know that this is the same people that have the hit out on the Light Fae Princess.
Okay.
Same people. So there's a little bit of a sidebar back at the compound, commune, whatever, where she is healed and they have another yes, no, ooh, sexy moment. And then there's more murder investigation because this time it's a witch. This is the next day.
So it's so they're going after a serial killer, essentially.
Yes, essentially. Okay. A serial killer that is alternating between witches and fae.
Did we, in that last scene where you said no, yes, did they learn anything about each other? Was there any, like, conversation?
No, not yet.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I don't.
Maybe there was. I don't remember it. So obviously
so
it didn't really.
I worry about giving this so much abuse that.
I get it. No, I get it.
Okay.
And so here's another slight problem. In this little blurb, there's 3 main things that happen. It doesn't really matter what order they happen in. So they investigate 2 murders, and they go to this nightclub, like vampire nightclub. Those are the 3 main things that happen in this little blurb of the story. It doesn't matter what order they happen in.
Okay.
So
yeah.
The important things that happen are they investigate that first one. They investigate a second one where a witch is murdered.
Okay.
This time an explosion goes off and they weren't expecting, because they actually like had people like
again
go. Yeah. And she's actually hurt this time, like legitimately hurt again within 24 hours. And so they go and heal her again.
Did she protect everyone again?
No, not this time. But she did have like a vest on. But she's saved. She's fine.
How does he react to that?
Oh, of course he's upset about it.
But why is he upset?
But in a manly way, because she's hurt. He's upset that she got hurt.
He's upset because she's his property, or she's upset because he actually likes her as a person?
Unclear.
Okay.
Yeah, unclear. I could not tell you.
I have to ask critical thinking questions. I have to.
Yes,
because
I'm glad that you are. I really am.
Okay.
I think that the intent is that he's upset because he cares about her in some capacity as a person.
Does that come across?
No.
This book is the reason why we made this podcast.
Yes. Yes, it is. That happens. Explodes again. It's fine. Her friends, who are also staying at this place, her coven members, her person who's basically a brother, and then turns out his girlfriend, like they're all together or whatever.
Okay. Cool.
Are also staying at the compound. And Larissa, who's the other girl in this triad of people, basically tells her that you need to get over it and be more emotionally available for this man. Yeah.
Okay.
Good friend.
All right. Cool.
And then they're like, hey, we need to go meet the vampires because they might know more about this. And we're going to do that by going to Vlad Dracula's nightclub. But you're going to go and you're going to like infiltrate it, and you need to do that by being sexy. So I need you to put on a sexy outfit and then come dance for me, Ryder, so I can determine whether you're sexy enough and whether you're going to be able to do it. Oh, you don't want to? Then I guess I'll just get your friend make your friend go do it instead. Okay, now you're going to do it. Great, cool.
All right, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Instead of dancing, they basically dry hump on the thing, and she's super into it. Or on the bed, and she's super into it.
Is she into it, or is he just mentally
There's a distinction.
Her?
There is a distinction, and the distinction is she is super into it. He calls her on it and says, you're into this. You want me. And she's like, no, you're controlling me. And then he does control her and is like, really? Is this what it felt like? And so she leaves.
Just keep going.
And she's like, there's a point where you just gotta roll. She leaves, and she's like, oh my God, he was right. This is my fault. I need to go apologize. So this is my fault. So she walks into his office to him fucking another woman.
What?
Because he made her so hungry and he needed to feed, and this is her fault.
Wait,
and
so
she realizes
made
that,
him
so she's
so
sorry.
Hungry.
Yeah.
So she made him so hungry, so then he needed to go find another female to fuck. So this is her fault.
Yes.
So like,
and
men
everyone's
can't
on the
control
same page.
themselves, right? We're on the same page that men cannot control themselves. So
everyone's on the same page that this is her fault.
I'm just thinking locker room talk. Locker room talk. All right.
So
cool,
yeah.
fine.
So
Brett Kavanaugh would have found nothing wrong with this book.
They go to this nightclub. She meets Dracula, and they have this oh shit moment because it turns out that ex-boyfriend that she still loves is actually still alive and is just a vampire.
Cool.
He got turned into a vampire instead, and they also
debatable if he's still alive then because
fair,
yeah.
Very fair. Naturally, she's pissed about it, and she We also find out at this point that there are a bunch of like Fae children or whatever that have been given these messages from the killer, and so like they meet this Fae kid, and basically like the killer's coming for them. That's all it is. That's the whole point of this vampire nightclub, is that they get a message from a creepy child saying he's coming for you, and that's everything that happens.
Again,
there.
Very Kilgrave.
Yeah. The one other important thing that we learn, however, is that these little Fae children, they look human. They look totally human. And she asks about that. She's like, why do they look human? And they're like, oh, all Fae look human until, anytime between like 20 and 22, they basically go through like really super extra shitty puberty and become Fae. Oh, hey, how old are you, by the way? Oh, 21? Weird. Okay.
So she's a changeling. She's a changeling.
No, she's a Fae. She's a full-on fucking
but like
Fae.
that's what happens with remember, human and Fae children, is that like you switch them around.
But she's not. So changelings are a totally discrete. Changelings in this book are half human, half Fae.
Oh,
She
okay.
is
I'm thinking
Fae.
historical changeling, where it's like,
Yes.
my
Yes,
child
yes.
is weird, so therefore they must be Fae. I'm gonna leave them in the woods.
Yeah, so she's full Fae. I'm just going to say it here because, again, it's not
full-fledged
subtle.
Fae?
We got it. She is, but she's been hiding because she's special and she has tattoos that make her special and no one can know or whatever. Which is why her parents died and all that jazz.
I love you so much. Anyway, continue.
Look, we're about to get to a worse part, so here
All right,
we
let's
go.
just go. Let's go.
So there is one more murder investigation that happens. We learn that the witch that died wasn't actually part of the serial killer's like MO. It was actually done by her ex-boyfriend to get her attention. I don't know why. Again, whatever. But then the next murder happens.
Snowstorm, Rachel.
She's so special. Next murder happens. They investigate. Same deal. Lot of dead people. Lot of missing body parts. And it explodes again. And she gets hurt again. So, she's 3 for 3 on getting hurt by explosion
When
at these things.
does her employer get hurt? No, not employer. I'm sorry, enslaver. When does her master get hurt? And not in like a sexy way, like in a bad way.
He doesn't.
Okay.
So that happens. Oh, they do have a mildly... This is all a montage. I should have just made this a montage. They also have this mildly, quote-unquote, intimate moment where he comes in, he's trying to, like, figure out what she is. And so he's like, don't worry, everything I've done to you up to this point is fine, because it turns out you're building an immunity to my powers, so I can't really control you as well anymore.
So Jessica Jones! I can't even!
It's wild. And so they do have this moment, and that's kind of where he finds out, like, that he thinks that she's basically Fae. So there you go. That's their moment together. So now he has sort of coerced her into, like, hey, you try so hard to protect everyone around you, and that is your primary concern, and yada, yada, yada. You need to just, like, let loose for one night and not have to do that. Not have to protect people around you, like, just be you.
That would be fine, like in any
cool.
other, like, healthy relationship where there wasn't a contract involved.
Yeah.
Sir.
Come with me to my nightclub for one night. Your friends are going to the Samhain party at their guild. Come with me to my nightclub. One night of us just, like, cutting loose. Do you think this is going to end well, Margie?
No!
It ends in sex. Does that help?
No, it's not! All right. I will say this. Again, to go back to the employer enslavement, whatever thing, it's not consensual sex. None of this relationship is okay. I don't care what you... No, I can't. If I were the writer... Listen, if I were the writer, I would have this super crazy hot scene. Okay, if we have to include the contract bit, have the contract bit. All right, if you're into that, cool, fine. But I want it ripped up later. I want it destroyed
later. It does end later. But not for those reasons.
Right. I want it destroyed because she's like, I'm not going to do this with you because this is unsafe. It's unmoral, whatever. And he's just like, okay. And he has the risk of losing what it is that he wants, or having her, or like putting himself at physical risk or having her, you know what I mean? And he just like rips it in half and is like, I would rather you have your freedom, for you to have autonomy over yourself and to feel safe with me than to have this other thing that I want.
I like you as a person, so I want you to be able to be your own person.
Right,
I like
exactly,
you.
exactly.
Yeah. We'll say it again louder for the people in the back. Alpha boys need to be relatable.
Yeah.
And they can be. And also, we like
boys,
a little soft. Soft is fine, even in an alpha boy. If anything, it accentuates the contrast.
Alpha boys need to relate to also their romantic partner.
Yes. Right now, their only relation, the way that they relate is that they're both stubborn as hell. That's
and that they're
it.
attracted to one another, which is great.
Yes.
Love that that's the only
Great.
thing I love for them. But like, you need to if you want to have like a real relationship, quote unquote, you have to relate to each other's hearts, souls, minds, whatever. All right, let's go on because
wait till you hear his dialogue. It's not.
Right. Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay. So she's like, fine, sure, and gets all dolled up. And there's a lot of, it's not a date. It's definitely a date. It's not a date. He owns you.
Right.
Anyway. So they go to his nightclub. Surprise. Yeah.
Also would argue this is I was thinking of that of the employer, whatever. It's also the Darkling in Shadow and Bone. Think about it like that.
Oh, it's so much worse than that, though.
And it's worse than that. It's worse than that.
Don't worry, he tricked her. Because now she's in a Fae nightclub on Samhain, which is one of those nights when Fae go fucking wild. And turns out, at this nightclub on Samhain, which is like Halloween.
And I'm assuming, making sure he didn't tell her about this, right?
No, of course not.
Okay.
So they have the Wild Hunt, which is where they open a portal to Fairy, and a bunch of ladies go in and are hunted by Fae.
I was wondering if you... Okay, because I thought of King of the Horde, and I thought of the Wild Hunt. Okay. I'm glad that I didn't want to say anything, but I was like...
I cannot reiterate this enough, does not want to be doing this.
No.
But is not given a choice.
So she's the one to be hunted, correct?
All human women that want to be hunted are there to be hunted voluntarily. She is not there
She's
of her
the
own
only one
free
who
will.
doesn't want to be there to be hunted.
But she's being hunted by the king. So cool.
I would honestly like...
You can do it well.
I would love to. I would like the being hunted thing. I'm like, okay, as long as it's consensual, we all agree that
they don't make
the
this
boundaries.
sexy though.
No, exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It could be sexy.
As a whole concept, they don't make it sexy because, like,
but
they do say that some of the
sexy.
It could be. They say some people are going to die and be raped.
Oh no, that's definitely not.
No, this is not sexy.
No.
It can be done sexy. This is the bad way.
Exactly.
So and here's the thing that really grinds my gears. It means nothing. Because you want to know what happens? She goes into the fairy world. He's literally the first one to find her. She never encounters any other of the hunters or whatever. He catches her almost immediately and then gives her a farce of a choice, and she's like, yeah, let's bone, and takes her to a cabin, and they fuck for 24 hours. It means nothing! I skipped the 24 hours of sex because it was all just bad BDSM.
Okay, so, all right.
And I like BDSM.
I feel like we have to go on, because
we do.
I think, but I also say that we have to go on because I feel like we've already covered all of the reasons why this is problematic, not okay. We don't like it, yada yada yada.
The good bad news is everything's about to pop off and just do the quick descent into the end.
Hell yeah.
So they're interrupted on their 24-hour fuckfest in the Fae world by someone saying, hey, the guild just attacked your nightclub. So Ryder, naturally, immediately assumes that this is your fault, Sin, and you distracted me while the guild did that. Cool and great.
So did he think it was sabotage, or did he think it was like, oh, she didn't do it on purpose, but it is her fault?
He thinks that she did it on purpose. She eventually is able to kind of convince him that no, but not before he, again, God, it's getting old at this point, threatens to use her as a human object, which he's already been doing, and rape her to death and whatever and all that. God, I'm broken.
It's happened too. I feel really sorry for you right now.
It's happened so many times in this book that it just got to a point where I was like, okay, cool. You're going to make that threat again? At least change it up. I don't fucking know. God.
Please say something original.
God, we get it. You're gonna chain me to the bed and fuck me to death? Cool, great. Like the last 12 times you've threatened that? God. So they do chain her to the bed using an iron thing around her neck, and she reacts very negatively to it because, surprise,
because
she's Fae, which everyone guessed at this point.
And Fae reacts terribly to iron.
Yeah. So basically, she figures out that this was the necromancer that's been responsible for all of these murders basically did this. So technically, witches attacked his nightclub, but it wasn't actually the guild. It was a bunch of reanimated corpses. Like, that's what she figures out.
Again, a really cool concept.
Yeah. He obviously isn't listening in any way to her. So one of his men, however, really likes her and helps her escape so she can, like, rescue her coven and get the hell out of there. This is where that whole he knows where she is all the time. Apparently not, because she is fully whole ass escape for like 3 days and he has no idea where she is.
Fucking someone else.
Probably. Which is fine. Fuck anyone you want, but like, you get it. Y'all know at this point.
Oh, no. So, that's not even the point.
Yeah. So, she realizes, she has figured out that it turns out that the Light Fae that she was the princess that she was supposed to be like taking the place of isn't actually the Light Fae princess. It's another pawn of this necromancer guy.
So she's the Light Fae princess.
Probably. It doesn't come out in this book, but probably. So she is like, has to figure out a way to, one, confirm that she's right, and two, make it so that Ryder understands that that's happening, because he's not going to be happy about it. So they set up this whole thing where she goes and, like, the Light Fae princess is going out in public, and she shows up and, like, does magic stuff and is able to figure out that, yes, that's what's happening. So she confirms it for herself. There's also a whole ass meltdown where Ryder catches her, and she, like, starts to, like, do a bunch of Fae shit that no one's expecting. And is able to escape because of that. So super secret special Fae powers that haven't come to light yet. And so it ultimately comes down to, we know that this Light Fae lady is a meat puppet. And we need to expose that in a way that's not going to start a war in between the witches and the Fae. Always a good plan. So the original, like, ball party thing that she was supposed to be, like, you know, taking the Light Fae place in.
Yeah.
They've decided that they're going to infiltrate that. They have a whole ass plan, and she is going to essentially, like, cut the strings of the meat puppet so that it exposes to the world that that's not actually the Light Fae princess, right?
Okay.
Cool. She's able to break in. They break in. Ryder and his men are there and, like, actively defending, you know, the Light Fae princess because they don't know.
The Light Fae princess that he is supposed to marry.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And so she is able to, like, actually gets around him and, like, anticipates what he's gonna do and everything, and is able to do that. She essentially, like, cuts the strings on the meat puppet and provokes the necromancer at the same time of, like, look what I just did. Also, she gets stabbed in the chest.
Listen, she's so powerful. She could be this. Could be so cool.
Also, she gets stabbed in the chest. Ryder's upset. He takes her to get saved again.
I hate it when when my iPhone breaks.
And Margie, she's finally done something. She's done something that's like, oh, I just got that. That's like awesome and like powerful and everything. And like she was smarter than he was, and she protected him. And actually, like, the contract is broken now because he let her get hurt. So that was part of the contract, is that she couldn't get hurt. So like, contract's broken.
Disney Hercules magic.
Pretty much. Except that he's upset with her because he had a whole plan and she ruined it. And
that's her fault.
This is her fault. It's her fault.
I love how we said that at the same time.
It's her fault.
It's her fault. Oh my god. I kind of want a sticker that says it's her fault.
It's her fault. It's her fault. That's a very good episode title too.
Oh,
It's
that's
her
such a. I really like that. It's her
Oh
fault.
God. We're almost done. There's a whole
fine.
other bit afterwards, but like I'm broken.
Oh, girl, I get it. I
God.
totally get it.
So she's cool, great. Ryder, after she recovers, is like, but I need you because you're hot and everything, and I lust after you or whatever.
I need you. Not
Yes,
because
exactly.
I love and value you as a person.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And think that
it's
you
gonna get worse.
deserve to live and have a happy life. No, it's because of me and my needs and my feelings.
I have the worst pièce de résistance related to that. So she's healed by Ryder. They decide, she goes in and negotiates another contract with him that gives her a little bit more autonomy, kind of. Cool, great.
Oh,
it's
so
not
she's
good.
been groomed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she is on her way back to her apartment because she finally gets to live in her own place now. And when she walks in the door, the necromancer, the serial killer guy, is in her house and has her friend, Larissa, tied to a chair and has been torturing her. So basically what happens is that Sin is immobilized, her friend is tortured to death, and Ryder comes in and saves her. That's the cliff notes of that, and captures the dude. Again, it's one of those things where I could go into the details, but there's so much like gore and trauma and everything that why do I need to do that?
I understand where Ryder is coming from at that point because like I have also like I didn't even go to the Apple store sometimes. Sometimes I just fix my iPhone or iPod on my own. And it's really
when your
hard.
iPhone is tortured to death by another human, it's fine. Jesus Christ. God.
Okay, can we? Is it
Our
over?
humor.
Is it over?
It's almost over.
Okay, and
our
then,
humor
so that we can
gets...
so we can do a review.
Yes. So I'm trying to go fast.
You are fine.
There's so much.
Don't be sorry. You are fine.
So,
you are fine. You're doing great.
So he saves her. She goes to be healed again. This is all within a 24-hour period of the last time she needed healing. And she basically goes fully catatonic. Like she is in her own head. She's not waking up for days because
relatable,
trauma,
understandable.
Yeah, trauma. And everyone's trying to get her to wake up and like all of these things. And finally Ryder like projects into her head and is like,
no, leave her alone.
Here's my shitty pièce de résistance. He projects into her head and he's like, you made me worried for you. You have to wake up. You made me feel bad things. She wakes up.
I want you to know that my first thought to that was, I just need to lay on the floor for a minute. I just need to lay down on the floor and just reattach myself to my values and what I truly believe in, because I feel like I am losing my mind I feel like I am losing my mind because this book has almost 4 stars. And 41,000 ratings.
So she wakes up. We're not rating this, I guess I should say. Like, obviously.
Yeah, thank God.
So she wakes up. She decides that, you know what, you're right. I'm going to stop blaming myself for all of the trauma in my life. Which, yeah, don't blame yourself for trauma.
Because 80% of it thus far, I'm going to assume, came from him. The 20% is for her parents.
And even that's not her fault.
No!
Yeah. And they... and her and her friend Adam, who's her other coven, her only surviving coven member, start to go. They're both Fae, and they start to go through their Fae transformation, and it ends on a misunderstanding between her and Ryder, and that's the end of the book. I did it.
Number one, I'm glad that you said that because I'm very proud of you for reading this. I have to be honest with you. I underestimated what you were saying, and you were absolutely right. As usual, I should not have underestimated you. So props to you. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
also, thank you so much for reading this, because I do think it's important. I think it's important to talk about.
Absolutely.
Because I think the number one thing for me is that this is not a consensual relationship. If you had started off of a basis of consent for frankly, all of these things, but also I have a little bit of issue even with consent with the mind control thing.
I have a lot of issue with that.
A lot of issues with that, but experiment, play around with your writing, like just do what you want. I say to other people out there, but then never take it into account for myself.
Everyone does that.
Exactly. But I'm like, the thing about that, okay, play around, do whatever you want, but this book is harmful.
Yes.
End of day. It's harmful. It's not okay. It's absolutely not okay. This book is a true crime horror.
Yeah. And this is where, like, I kind of mentioned that I started second guessing myself. Not because I stopped thinking that this book was harmful and bad. I've always thought that. From the first moments I started reading this. Because I understand that some of these things are people's kinks, which is fine, but it's the context surrounding that experience that matters. And I think that while creating some media that doesn't provide the great context, because that is your, something you're into, can be fine, but you still have to acknowledge that, like, it can be harmful. Like, it's...
Well, I think also, though, again, it's that consensual thing. If you start with... And... if you start with the idea that these are both consenting people who say, I want to try this, but also, let's put them at equal standing.
Yes.
Of saying they both equally have enough power. Not one of them doesn't have more power over the other, even if they're both consenting adults. Like, one of them could have said to the other, again, like a Monica Lewinsky situation of, hey, I have power, like, I am more powerful in the world, even if we're both consenting adults. I have more power outside of this context,
Right.
So
and I guess if someone's into that, make it clear that they are.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is this entire book has been her screaming in her own head while she's out of control of her body, screaming that she hates, that she doesn't want to be doing this. Like, that's not... It's bad. That's really bad.
And also... and also consequences. Like, make the consequences equal and balanced, and make it so that there aren't any, honestly, where you both feel safe in your scenario.
I've mentioned this book before. It's a really good one. The Nevada Baylor series does this relatively. I mean, it's not the same thing. It doesn't get into all of the stuff that this book gets into, but like one character that's really fucking powerful in terms of magic and money and standing in the world, and one person that isn't. And their relationship and dynamic is done very well and not problematically.
Right.
It can be done.
And I want to also... do you want to say something first?
I was just going to say that, like, the other thing we need to yell again from the rooftops is an alpha male is not an abuser. It doesn't have to be an abuser.
Nope.
That is not the definition that we want for an alpha male.
Nope. It's okay.
But it's what everyone goes with.
Yes, it's okay to... I had trouble even saying this. It's okay to be an alpha female or male. It's okay to be an alpha male. It's okay to like alpha males. I
guess I would say it instead, because
make sure everybody's safe, happy. Like, that's
I mean, the whole, like, an alpha male is a myth. It's more of it's okay to like a powerful, like, strong, like, hard-headed. They all seem to be stubborn. That's like stubborn and white. That's like the thing. But like, you have to make them relatable, and they have to also have a personality and emotions of some sort. Their emotions can't be must fuck, want to fuck. They're not cavemen.
Right.
Like, people need to be people.
If we're going to talk about what I think of as an alpha male is someone who is confident in their convictions and someone who knows who they are, what they stand for, what they believe, all of those things. Those things cannot cause the harm of someone else. They cannot cause the manipulation of someone else. They cannot cause the, in this book, frankly, torture of someone else. If you do those things, you're not an alpha male. Like,
no,
quote unquote.
Absolutely not.
Quote unquote. Because it doesn't exist.
Quote unquote.
But alpha male to me is, again, it's that, like, the frank confidence that a lot of men carry within themselves.
And even someone that takes control sometimes. That's great. We like someone that takes a little bit of control as long as it's not at the expense of someone else.
Yes, exactly.
Louder for the people in the back.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, and I think we hopefully got it across during our just gibberish screaming into the void throughout the entirety of this book. We could yell about this for fucking ever, huh?
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. We're not going to rate it.
No.
I hope that my biggest fear is that someone's going to come at me of like, well, but people should be able to explore their kinks, like their domination and all of those types of kinks in fiction. And yes, I agree.
Yes.
Even if you write something isn't consent, like whatever, like say that in the description of the fucking book.
There was an underscore. You even meant like you mentioned it of like there was like a little note on the bottom that wasn't
alpha
on the Goodreads.
hole.
Right. Where that was an alpha hole. So maybe they sort of said it, but I also feel like it didn't give me this much of red flag. Like
no. Yeah.
So again, maybe they did kind of say it, but like maybe I feel like in books like this, you need to be more explicit and say
it felt
like
excessive to me.
Yes, it's
like
excessive.
If someone's kink is, if you need this much trauma and abuse and domination, all that stuff, like then maybe we're getting into fetish territory. And I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, and don't need to.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp.
I fucking wish.
I really wish.
Yeah. It just like it was excessive. It was excessive.
That's
too many. My rating.
It's too
it was
much.
excessive. Too much.
Just have that as the episode title. Honestly, it was excessive. Too much.
Her fault. It's her fault. Too much. Thank you all. If you made it through that, thank you. I hope it was at least funny in our outrage. And thank you, Alienaria, for the use of your song "Oh Love" off the album
the
Bell.
Album you held.
I apologize that it was attached to this, but we still love you. You're great.
I would really love to meet them one day.
Dude, absolutely. And you know what? If y'all want to pop over into our Discord and have a discussion about this, I'm curious.
Yes.
Call me on my bullshit. I don't mind.
Yes.
Like, let's talk about it.
I am not a person who has read this, so if someone has a different opinion, I'd really like to hear it. No offense, Rachel.
Absolutely.
I love your opinion, and I
100%
literally value it more than anyone else's in my life.
Aww.
But I know
more than Klondike bars.
Well, yeah. Klondike bars are really good, but like they also to him.
Well, again, thank you all so much. We love you so much.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.